So the feedback that we received from our discussions with the local community is that there is a whole number of factors that they are looking for. Income is important, but many other issues were also as equally important, especially in terms of building up social capital as well as human capital. And the only way that they can evaluate whether they have been successful is to then go beyond an indicator that goes beyond income, and that would be at a macro scale beyond GDP. And that could be a combination of human capital, which is education and health, extremely important, natural capital, the foundation for a lot of the services that we get, and the third one would be produced capital, which is the infrastructure, which is also important. We can't do without roads and bridges and the other stuff. So it's a combination of that to improve the lives of everybody. And you need a new indicator that goes beyond GDP.
Okay. This has been a tremendously exciting experience, and one of the things that it has done, it's convinced me yet further that the international scientific community, and by that I mean the engineering and the social sciences and the natural sciences as well as others, really need to focus more on post-disaster reconstruction issues. Because what we've seen in the past, I would say maybe 15 or 20 years, is an increasing flowering around the world of interdisciplinary efforts in disaster risk reduction. And those, of course, are very important. That's where most of UNESCO's work in disasters also takes place. But I believe that the space, the societal space that opens up after a major disaster provides us with some really fantastic opportunities to do things in new and different ways, as well as I believe we have some moral responsibility to rise to the occasion in these issues. It's been inspirational to hear the stories of the various people that we've met with who've been working on this issue, and I really look forward to continuing to try and engage in the recovery efforts of the Great Japan Eastern earthquake and tsunami.
In these very productive 3 days of discussions, I've been struck by, as I think all participants have been, by the importance of making the right kinds of connections between the various disciplines, and in particular between the natural and the social and human sciences. We need both in order to deal with the issues that we've been discussing, to be able to analyze the ways in which certain systems perform, regardless of what we might think about them, and at the same time understand how they can be acted upon, taking account of the values to which we subscribe, in ways that can actually promote those values, taking account of the dynamics of the systems themselves. And whether we're talking about adaptation to climate change, or managing biodiversity, or reconstructing after a disaster such as the earthquake and tsunami of 2011, those two dimensions will always be present. And in that respect, the social sciences have a crucial role to play, and quite a series of challenges to meet, I think. The role is that the processes with which we are concerned, processes of resilience in the broad sense, involve the beliefs, the values, the behavior, the institutions of human beings. And those need to be studied by the social sciences. They also need to be shaped by deliberate action, taking account of social science knowledge, but not itself reducible to social science. And we have massive gaps in that regard. There's an enormous literature on all of these issues, on participatory governance processes, on policy and its failures, on the ways in which governance can produce different kinds of results depending on its parameters and processes. I don't think we have either generalizable or case-specific operational knowledge in most cases. We're much better in the social sciences at coming along after the fact and explaining why it all went wrong. The task of shifting the social science paradigms towards not simply sneering after the fact, but also shaping before the fact, is one that we need to rise to. And I think these discussions have helped me certainly to understand some of the issues. It remains for the communities themselves in the various disciplines to actually rise to that challenge and produce usable, relevant knowledge.
Along with my colleagues, I've really benefited from this practical experience of not just sitting in a conference room and talking about issues of sustainability and resilience, but seeing with my own eyes and above all listening with my own ears to the people who have lived through and are now engaged in the reconstruction effort. And it's been very, very interesting and very instructive. I think to a first approximation, what we've seen is a strong, wealthy, democratic country recover from a terrible disaster in a remarkable way, in a remarkably short time and to a remarkable extent. But when we listen to people and discuss it among ourselves, we realize that the issues are complicated, and in particular, at some point, you begin to ask the question, where is the recovery completed and where is it going? Which direction you go in when you clean up the mess and you clean up the debris and start to think about the longer-term prospects of the society. And there, of course, you have multiple factors, and you can see that the solutions are not obvious, and they require participation and input and analysis from many different fields, and carefully separating, categorizing different ideas and making sure that you separate purely scientific ideas and ideas that are more value-laden. And for that purpose, one can't think of a better process than the one that is being advocated here, which is called sustainability science, which will bring together multiple experts and multiple stakeholders and people who are not just observers or analysts or scientists, but actually people who are themselves involved and affected. And we've seen some of that. And obviously, this is something I think we all agree is worthwhile. And so we applaud it and we wish it good luck.
In the past and also at present, I'm dealing with the innovation policy. And in these 3 days, I could learn a lot, not only about the damage of the tsunami, but also the importance of collaboration between social science and natural science. And so I have never thought about the relationship between sustainability and innovation. But as far as I have learned in these days, to realize real sustainable society, the innovation is inevitable element. And this innovation is a bit different from the meaning of the innovation, which is often used in Japan. In Japan, we usually, in the connotation is science and technology related innovation. This is the innovation. But in the last decade, in Europe, or maybe also in the US, the importance of social innovation is very often referred and developed. And but in Japan, still very few people refers about it. Therefore, I hope that the effort of this group under Professor Takeuchi will somehow contribute to the real development of social innovation activities from Tohoku area to all over Japan and beyond Japan. That's my hope. Thank you.
Well, the role that children and the younger generation have to play will be defined by education, and I think that education can play a key role when building resilience, and particularly when concentrating on building sustainable societies, since it was discussed today, the time frames are compatible in the change that they can create. So this means that taking education into consideration, even at the earliest stages of disaster recovery, can provide really significant changes in the long run.
Well, after 3 days of fruitful deliberations, one thing that was clear is that sustainability, resilience, and innovation are inevitable for us to continue living in this world. And it was overemphasized that proactive measures are quite very necessary, and we should not take reactive measures. And this is a major challenge to most of the developing countries, especially when it comes to disaster response, who have opted for reactive measures, and they should learn from developed countries and take an approach of proactive measures for them to develop and build more resilient and more sustainable society.